Okay, welcome day 283. I got gummy snacks. Fruit snacks. Give them sweat for them. But yeah, so anyways, what happened was we're playing the second Danganronpa game because we bought it, and I looked up one of the characters just to look up one of the characters because I honestly don't mind. I don't know, maybe I should just not look things up, but I like looking things up to see if it's well done or what goes on, kind of things. And I think if someone's like, no, trust me, don't, I'll be like, okay. But because I want to know, I looked it up. And my sibling was like, well, like, haha, are you looking it up? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, okay, well, just if you look it up, you gotta tell me. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, and she's like, you looked it up? And I was like, wait, yeah. I literally said yes. And she goes, now you gotta tell me. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I didn't want you to know. And I'm like, well, that's not what you said. You said, ha ha ha, are you looking it up? And I said, yes. She's like, I thought I made it pretty clear. I'm like, no, you didn't. Because it's like, now, like, oh, should I have not looked it up? So I told her what I found because she wanted to know and she was really mad. But I'm like, then just say, hey, dude, don't look it up. I don't want you to know, and I don't want you to know without me knowing. Don't say, ha 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 ha, are you looking it up? Like, not like legitimately she giggled. So it's like, how was I supposed to know you giggling me looking it up means, hey, don't look it up? And so I was like, okay, cool. So I'm like, okay, whatever. You guys are just like, no, dude, you didn't make it clear. Tell me next time. Use your words. She gets really angry at other people for not communicating what they want. Because I'm like, if you want me to communicate, like, if you want people not to hint at each other, don't hint at people, especially so vaguely. Like, so absolutely. Like, how was I supposed to know? She didn't want me to look it up. But she did not indicate in any way, shape, or form that she didn't want me to look it up. So I got really, ooh. Like, she was, like, full on, like, really angry at me. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know? Tell people next time what you want. So, yeah, and I can't tell. It's probably the same thing where I think she really, really would want to voice these characters out loud. So, but when I'm like, oh, are you going to read it out loud or else we're sitting here quiet? She's like, oh, I don't want to, like, do it. I'm like, okay. So I put my glasses on to read, and then she starts doing it anyways. I'm like, okay. So I let her, and then this time she's like, oh, I cannot do it. I was so tiring. I'm like, okay, don't then. I'll just put on my glasses like last time. So I put on my glasses, and I looked down when she wanted me to look up something. So she started doing it again. So I looked up. She's like, oh, it's only doing it when you're on your phone. I can stop. I was like, okay. She's like, what do you mean, okay? I'm like, okay, like, if you want to stop, then stop, because you said you weren't going to. And, but I think she wanted me to ask her to keep going. I don't know. Anyways, I did see a toad. It was a toad. It was like this big because I picked him up like this, and I put him to a different location and placed him because he was trying to go into my garage, and I'm like, no, outside. So I put him outside. yeah, my sibling bought a big box of these. And, I need to not eat, like, 4 bags at a time to get them for, like, gummy snacks. Yeah, with these is, because they don't know why I got headaches, like, daily. I think it's this house with a lot of different reasons. But they're like, oh, it could be the thing in your ear that gives you pressure here, and it gives you headaches, and it could cause your neck pain, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? And they're like, don't eat gummy snacks. Don't eat popcorn. Don't eat anything chewy. Don't chew gum. Don't. I'm just like, okay. What else is there? The second Danganronpa game, though, it seems already more fat phobic, like fat jokes just constantly. I hate using fat phobic because people are like, oh, I'm not afraid of fat people, I'm not afraid of trans people, I'm not afraid of gay people, and it's like, okay, cool, but fat phobic, transphobic, blah blah phobic doesn't equal you having to be afraid. You can. That doesn't have to be fear. It just is a prejudice against. So it's just like, it's a prejudice against. And I'm just like, yeah, we were watching, because my sibling loves his energy, is Michael Reeves. He makes all those, like, coding, and he can make astrophysical electronics. It's really, really well done. It's my sibling's like, since you're envious, like, since she feels envy for what he makes, you know it's good. Like, some people view that as like the top tier. Like, if you're envious of someone, that's how you know they're doing something really well done. And Jack Black says that, my sibling says that, my dad would say that. And so yeah, just if you're envious of someone, you know it's good. So what happened though is we're watching him, but it was a few years ago on a Game Grumps Time and Power Hour. He was there, and he's so chaotic. But back then, and this time, I looked up if he was trans. I forgot if I realized he was or learned he was trans or not, so I decided to do it again. I forgot what the answer was. But obviously, one big thing is if you look up about trans, and unless they themselves have a post saying, hey, I'm trans, or someone talking about them being trans, it's really horrible and ugly. Like, it really just brings out the worst things. So I looked this up years ago when I first saw videos of, what's her name? Nikki Tutorials. I watched a few episodes, like videos of hers. I'm not really into makeup, so I don't watch her. I never wear makeup, but I watched a few things because she started getting big. But I saw her and I was like, she gives me LGBT vibes. So I looked her up, and I looked up, you know, Nikki Tutorials, LGBT, and obviously it was a lot of ally stuff that she posted and people said about her. But this was before she came out, or was forced out. Let's be real, she was forced out. She was literally blackmailed. But anyway, so I looked up her and then trans, because I'm like, okay, it's a trans vibes. And I looked it up, and it was just like, I think she's trans because she had, you know, plastic surgery. I think she's trans because she's tall. And it's like, okay, yeah, but also, the heck? And then I saw like a picture of her when she was like 13, and yeah, we know that she is trans, but it isn't that they're look, like, that me asking, like, oh, is she trans, is so much different than somebody trying to pull apart someone to be like, you know, she's trans because of all this. Like, no, stop. Just stop. Especially because she did start hormones so young, where it's like, oh, well, she got hormone, or she got facial surgery because of blah, blah. It's like, well, she never probably would have needed facial feminization surgery, to my knowledge, since she started it so young. Okay, so the point was that, what was the point? Anyways, I looked up, like, Nikki tutorials, and the fact that what I was looking up is, like, when I looked up Nikita Dragon, kind of, not the same time I did Nikki tutorials first, but, later on I heard of Nikita Dragon, so I was like, who the hell's Nikita Dragon? And I saw something with her, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, ooh, got those vibes. So I look her up, and she's trans, and she was openly trans, and she transitioned on YouTube, and all that, which is amazing, and extremely strong of her, because there is no way in hell, I was gonna say there's no way in hell I could do that, but I kind of did. I was gonna say there's no way in hell with the whole platform, but I think at that point she had a platform, trans feminine, just there's no way I could do, no. Anyways, point was that, that was what I was looking for, just an answer, and that's it. So I went and I saw, Michael Reeves, and I was like, oh, you know, I was like, is this a LGBT vibe, a trans vibe, or nothing? He's just chaotic. Because, God, is he chaotic, and he just gives chaotic vibes constantly. So I looked him up, just a quick Michael Reeves trans, and I just saw something like trans, like Michael Reeves says trans rights, and apparently a fan gave him a trans flag and he hung it up in his bedroom for a video where they decorated his bedroom. So I was like, okay, because I was like, if he has a trans flag in his bedroom, he might be trans, guys, but apparently no, it was given, I think. So, cool. But either way, he himself didn't say he was trans. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I threw it, like, but I just saw it, and I knew it was going to be bad. I knew the way that it was worded was going to be bad. But I click on the next link, and I'm like, no, I shouldn't have done it. Because at this point, I'm not looking up if he's trans or not, because he's not out as trans. He might be a cis guy. I don't know enough about him to know. But oh man, was it horrible. When I clicked on the next one, and it popped up, it was a anti-trans person. He doesn't have, and instead of saying a deep voice, they said he doesn't have a very dark voice. And I'm like, a dark voice? Okay. Don't make typos if you're gonna be like transphobic though, honey. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't have a very dark voice. And then it's like, oh, and he's short. And I'm like, okay, he's like 5'4". I'm like, fair, not fair. None of these things equal trans, is what I'm saying. None of these random things. You can have... The whole point of this is none of these things point out that he's actually has to be trans. Fun fact. I mean, you look at the very opposite of an a very active member of the trans mass community is Jimmy, well, God, what's his name? It's like a cookie. It's like a cookie. Oh man, I forgot his name. But his name's Jimmy. He's British, but he's like 6 foot. But he didn't transition. I think he was 18 or 19. So there's that. Like, so it wasn't like he transitioned really early. But he has beautiful skin, and he's tall, and he has a deep voice, and blah blah blah. But what happened is that people were saying the very opposite to Michael, where they're like, oh, he's short, he doesn't have a deep voice, I've never seen him topless, so he's hiding his scars. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because, like, I never looked him up. But the fact, like, I didn't, like, go through all his videos and go through all of his, Instagram stories. The idea that's, like, he never showed off his chest. I'm like, you must have done some serious research if you can boldly say he has never taken off his shirt. That's some serious research that... That's what I'm saying. That's like me typing in to see if he's trans. There's like that line. But then there's the next, way farther down. You have overstepped the respect meter. Like, here's respect, maybe seeing if he's trans. It's right on the, ooh, are you being respectful line. But doing so much research to be able to say he has never once posted a picture without his shirt on or a video, it's beyond disrespect. It's in creepy territory. This is creepy. This is creepy. It's disrespectful and creepy. So the idea that happened, I was like, ooh. But then, so that post was very anti-trans. The reply under it was so incel that it used the word Freud, meaning woman in incel speak, where it's like, oh, well, oh yeah, the first one also used female identifying trans, which means a trans guy. So anyways, I already had to have weird anti-trans, I relate to a lot of these terms with turf territory, but it doesn't have to be the anti-trans words. But then the comment uses like Freud, which is incel speak. So it's like, yeah, but a Freud could never be that good at electronics. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, like pretty much it's like, well, I don't think he's trans because a woman could never be that good at coding and making electronics. And I'm just like, I have stumbled between the worst two comments ever. Anti-trans, turfish vibes, but anti-trans vibes for sure, like 100% anti-trans. And then incel comment to it, and I noped out. I think there was more comments, but I exited. I'm like, oh, gone. It's gone. All I know is like Michael Reeves respects trans people, and he has such a chaotic energy. We watched a few of his videos, and that's great. He has like a little squishy thing, a little squishy toy that looks like a little dick that I have. So we bond, like so I know that because my sibling was looking through his Instagram, because again, she loves his chaotic vibes, and I'm just here watching when she's watching, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that comment, the comment, and like it was like getting like, I don't think those two people would get along, because if I get turf vibes from here and this is an incel, turfs and incel, like I don't think those would mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a radical feminist would love being called a Freud. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? you know what I'm saying?